Trackaholic.
Full court pressure. CJ. Yeah, what we talking about? 94 feet, crossover bodies, dropping J's up. Players, this elite, your shots on body blocking halftime. We break it down, we gon' call your bluff, it's past time. You recognize, boy, press. We got the heat down in Florida with the keys. Guess we the best. Magic, we flash with them fans, listen, won't see the best. Show rise from the airwaves like all stars in them stairways. Local rockin', we not stopping, got hot topics like every day. Them trades hit that deadline. My team chasing the big range, we ball, check that headline. Don't mess it up when you pick teams, the only station giving y'all that info with that real talk. Don't be trying to contest it, go toe to toe and get wheeled off. We shooting from deeper than that report from the bleachers. If you ain't on your game, then we got something to teach you. Tie your laces up, might get shook up out of them sneakers. That triple threat, bless your eardrum straight out of your speakers. Go from that black top to the hardwood, locker room to that press day. Got the scoop on them contracts, new prospects and best plays. NBA defined by the grind, in between the lines, full court pressing, finessing, read the signs. What we talking about? 94 feet, crossover bodies, dropping J's up. Players, this elite, your shots on body block at halftime. We break it down, we gon' call you bluff.
What's up, everybody? This is Dan Thompson, RallingAssociation.com, and this is the Rallying Association podcast for April 2nd, 2019. As we get down close to the playoffs, Monday night's action was a lot going on in the NBA. So this podcast will be dedicated to what you missed the entire night of Monday night in the NBA, talk about what's going on in Tuesday of the NBA, and also some of the things that you probably missed about the entire league. Over the next few minutes, we'll talk about it. So the major story tonight was the Eastern Conference. All the playoff teams that needed victories or were all in action last night. So let's go with the top story of the night. You know, we had the playoff chasing teams. We know about Milwaukee and Toronto. They pretty much solidified the 1 and 2 spots in the Eastern Conference. So they both were in action along with the third seed Philadelphia 76ers. Well, the good news, the Bucks took care of business in Jersey last night, 131-121. They got Giannis back in the lineup. And of course, you know, the Bucks, they are now, I think the Magic number is down to 1 or 2 to clinch home court throughout the entire Eastern Conference. The Raptors did hold serve against the Orlando Magic. We'll get to the Magic situation in a minute. The Raptors really pretty much kept Orlando in track. Orlando had the early in the first quarter, and the Raptors really had a big close into the second quarter and just held the lead down. They defeated the Magic, and the Magic's playoff number was pretty much, you know, they had a chance, you know, with Brooklyn losing, and Miami also lost on Monday night as well, and which would have gave the Magic the ability to move up to as high as 7th because they would have tied Detroit for the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. So, like I mentioned before, Orlando lost, Brooklyn lost, and now the Miami Heat lost as well too. With all three teams losing in action, the Charlotte Hornets had every opportunity to jump themselves back in the playoff race. Well, that didn't happen either. Kemba Walker scored 47 points, and the Hornets still lost. Walker scored 22 of his 47 in the final 5 minutes of the game, tried to bring the Hornets back into it, and they fell short in Utah. Give the Hornets credit. They did play a lot better than they did Sunday night against Golden State when they lost by, 40-something, 45, 46 points. They were down by 47 at least in that game on Sunday night. The Hornets now have 1 game left in the road trip as they take on New Orleans, and the Hornets season is almost officially dead at this point. The Hornets have just a little bit of fight left. They are 3 games behind, and the time is ticking. They really need to now win out. The bad part with Charlotte is that the best record they could be is 40-42. So you're going to need to get a losing streak from Orlando and Miami to get the Hornets back in the playoff hunt. I just don't know if the Hornets have enough time or enough games left into it. The Magic, Heat, and the Brooklyn Nets are all in that same area fighting for 7 right now. Nothing changed in the standings. Orlando is still a half game behind Miami. Miami has 1 game ahead of them. Now, when is Miami going to make up the game? Miami actually has a back-to-back on the final 2 nights of the season. So that's when the Heat will make up the game that is behind the Magic. So pretty much they'll be playing on a nightly basis until they get to the final 2 nights of the season where the Magic had to play. The Heat had to play a back-to-back where Orlando finished the season in Charlotte on that Wednesday night. So if you look at the playoff picture now, like I said, Detroit, even though Detroit lost to Indiana on Monday night, Detroit is still ahead of everybody when it comes to the 6, 7, and 8 spot in the playoff hunt. So Detroit, they play Indiana again on Wednesday in an interesting back-to-back situation. But as far as they go, the Pacers won, and also the Boston Celtics beat the Heat. So nothing changed when it comes to those standings. So quick Eastern Conference rundown the standings. Milwaukee, like I said, is just about to clinch the home court advantage. And once they clinch home court advantage, don't expect any of the Bucks to play any further because the Bucks are already shorthanded. Like I said, they're down. They're down Malcolm Brogdon. They are down Mirotic. They're down Dante DiVincenzo. They're down so many different pieces off their puzzle, and their playoff puzzle, and they need to get some health back. So don't expect to see much of Giannis or Chris Middleton after they clinch the home court advantage. Toronto is stuck at 2. There's no way Philadelphia's going to catch Toronto. They're 5.5 back in the sign-off games, which means Philadelphia's about to clinch the 3 spot. They're 3.5 games ahead of Boston. Joel Embiid was out tonight in their loss to Dallas. So Boston did gain a game. They're expecting Joel to be out one more game, which will be Wednesday. Should be back in the lab Thursday for Milwaukee, if Milwaukee hasn't clinched that berth by then. Really, Philadelphia just wants to clinch the 3, and at that point, they can start resting and beating any further because you don't want any type of injury to Joel going into the playoffs. Boston and Indiana both won, so that means they're still tied neck and neck. Remember, they play Friday night in Indianapolis. That is going to be a game that's going to decide who gets the home court advantage. Detroit, even though they lost last night, they still are when it comes to the Leo or Brooklyn, they are still a half game in front of Brooklyn. They could have took a little bit more of a breathing room. So them being a half game in front of Brooklyn, Brooklyn's a half game in front of Miami. Orlando is 2 games behind everybody at this point. So Orlando really with their next game will be on Wednesday when they take on the Atlanta Hawks in Orlando. I'll be out the game on Wednesday night, so we'll have a lot more insight from players from especially the Magic on Wednesday night. Orlando needs to win the next 2 games. They're at home. It's the final 2 home games of the Magic season as they take on Atlanta on Wednesday and New York on Friday. So if you're the Magic, you have to win those 2 games. I mean, you win those 2 games, it'll put you right at 40-40 with the final 2 games of the season being Boston, like I said, in Charlotte. You don't know what Boston team you're going to be getting. Boston could be playing for a situation they can be resting starters. And like I said, if Charlotte's out of the hunt, Charlotte's going to be willing to knock them out. The Miami Heat, like I said, 39-38. They're a half game in front of the Magic for the final playoff spot. Once again, I mentioned they do have 1 game at hand. The Warriors will go back. The Heat will go back to work on Wednesdays to take on the Celtics at home, and then they have Minnesota on Friday. So let's just say, on Wednesday night, the Magic could be putting themselves right back in the playoff hunt. If the Heat lose the Celtics again, hey, they can leapfrog Miami for 8. And truth be told, if Brooklyn, whose next game I think is on Wednesday as well against Toronto, if Toronto's still trying to chase the 3 spot, hey, if Toronto beats the Nets, the Magic can jump as high as 7. With Detroit loss be literally a game behind Detroit for the 6th spot. So there's still much more time to go. Like I said, we're really down to 4 teams in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Charlotte is on life support, and I think another loss or a set of wins between Miami and Brooklyn and Orlando would put the Hornets away for the rest of the season. So the rest of the games on the schedule Monday night, like I said, we briefly went over them. Just to go a little bit more detail, Pacers 111. Pistons 102. Sabonis had 18 and 12 off the bench. Like I said, Indiana and Boston are now still tied for 4th place. Boston still has a tiebreaker to play on Wednesday. Boston beat Miami once again, 110-105. Al Horford had a triple-double, 19 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists. Once again, the Nets fell at home to the Milwaukee Bucks. Eric Bledsoe was just filling the stat sheet up completely, 29.7 assists, 5 rebounds, 5 steals in the 131-121 victory, 10-point win. The Toronto Raptors got 29 points from Danny Green, knocked down 7 3-pointers. They beat the Magic 121-109. Like I said, the Magic have to come home to play 2 games against 2 non-playoff teams in the Atlanta Hawks and the New York Knicks. Speaking of the Knicks beat the Chicago Bulls in the Who Cares game of the night, 113-105. Robin Lopez had 29 points for the Bulls. Luke Cornett had 24 points off the bench for the New York Knicks. Blazers 132, T-Wolves 122, and it's carrying 20 points, 11 rebounds. Blazers are now, we'll get to the Western Conference in a second, discuss their standings. Blazers help themselves as they're trying to catch the Houston Rockets for the 3rd spot in the Western Conference. Mavericks 122, Sixers 102. This game really isn't much of an alarm. The Sixers did not have Joel Embiid in the lineup. They got 26 points from Redick for the Sixers, but a huge game from Jackson from Dallas. Jackson Justin Jackson, the guy that got the trade from the Kings, had 24 points and 6 rebounds. He led, 6 guys from the Dallas Mavericks in double figures. They had four of those guys come off the bench. Sammy Mejri had 16 points and 14 rebounds. They had Trey Burke with 16, 6, and 5. So everybody was contributing. Remember, the Dallas Mavericks did not have Luka Doncic, who's we're going to say he was out, but potentially be shut down for the rest of the season. Charlotte Hornets fall on the road once again to the Utah Jazz by the score of 111-102. Rudy Gobert, 18 points, 18 rebounds, 3 blocks. His 62nd double-double of the season. He's now tied Karl Malone for the all-time Jazz single-season record. He should pass that before the season is over with. Charlotte is at 35-42. Once again, their season is on life support, even though Kemba Walker scored 47 points in the game. It just wasn't pretty. And the Suns close out the Cleveland Cavaliers in a battle of two teams trying to fight for lottery position. The Suns did not get a 50-point game from Devin Booker, but he did provide 25 points, 13 rebounds in the 122-113 victory. So let's go over some of the news across the league before we step out of here this morning. So one of the big stories tonight is Kenny Atkinson is going, and his staff is nearing an extension with the Nets. Atkinson is one of the best young coaches in the NBA and also a very well respected for all his years coaching different places around the league. The Nets are deserving. He's helped turn a team that hasn't had very many draft picks and great scouting to get themselves right close to the playoffs. Also, at the same time, of the news across the league, you see guys being shut down completely. Like I said, Joel Embiid is out until Thursday. Zach LaVine is still injured, potentially could play later on this week. I don't expect to see him. The Bulls are missing Otto Porter. He's not going to be back on the line anytime soon. Those are some of the major injuries. Now, also at the same time, you're going to see guys that are going to pull themselves out of games down the stretch. It's the time of year where guys coming out off of injuries are really, it's not going to really be helpful, especially if you're going to see games. So to update the Western Conference standings, the Portland Trailblazers' victory has now pulled them in front of the Houston Rockets for the 3rd seed. They're all tied. The Jazz are now 2 games behind both of them for the 4th spot in the Western Conference. Golden State and Denver are both off. They play again on Tuesday, which is the game of the night. And if you have any source of league pass or if you're looking to look and watch any game, Golden State and Denver is the game to watch tomorrow night, because if Golden State wins, you pretty much can guarantee Golden State having home court advantage throughout the entire Western Conference playoffs. Denver, that lost did not at home on Sunday against the Washington Wizards, did not help their cause. Portland, like I said, Portland and Houston are tied for 5th. Utah is still at 6. Clippers have the night off, and they're still staying at 6. And they're a half game behind the Jazz for 6. Spurs and the T-Wolves, Spurs and the Thunder are both off, so there's still 8.5 games out. There's still much more time to play. So what's on the schedule for Tuesday night across the league? It's pretty much a short night across the league. There's 4 games on the schedule tomorrow night. Yes, there's 4 games scheduled tomorrow night. TNT has 2 of them. The early game on TNT is Lakers and Thunder. A game the Thunder needs in the standings because the Spurs are also playing right around the same time against the Hawks. Wonder if somehow both teams win, they'll both be in that same spot, but they'll gain a half game on the Utah Jazz, as they're not too far behind the Jazz if they're trying to catch 6 in the Clippers, as they try to find the Western Conference. Rockets play the Kings, the rematch from the game that was an entertaining game from Saturday night, where James Harden had a 50-point triple-double. The Kings were at the playoff race, but they're trying to get close to a 500 season. If the Kings get 500, just the remarkable turnaround by Dave Yeager and this team compared to where they came from and what they've gone through all season would just be a great stepping stone for the Kings as they're going forward. The other game on TNT, like I said, it's the game of the night, Warriors and Nuggets. It's the game everybody's waiting for, especially in the Western Conference, because like I said, if you're a Thunder or a Spurs fan, you'll watch this game closely, because these are the 2 teams you'll be facing in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs, unless the Clippers slide. 4-game night, really simple. Like I said, just if you're going to watch any game, I know it's late, Denver and Golden State will be worth watching. So many different matchups. Can DeMarcus Cousins not get ejected for incidental contact? Is Draymond Green going to pick up that 16th technical, because he has 15 right now? Remember, the 16th is a 1-game suspension. If he gets suspended before the season ends, that could be a huge loss for the Warriors as they're trying to solidify home court advantage. And really, this is a game for the Nuggets, should be a statement game. One of those games where you need to have to win if you're going to make headway in the playoffs, especially getting momentum as we get into the playoffs. Speaking of the playoffs, the NBA's regular season will end on next Wednesday, which is the 10th. So we are literally 8 days away from the end of the season. So, other news going across the NBA, LeBron James has said to Team USA. He will not be part of the team. He had no intention on being a part of the World Cup team that is going to China. So we can kiss LeBron James off the team. James Harden said last week he wants in, but LeBron James is out. James will be taking the summer off, like I said, to heal his groin, and also to film Space Jam 2, which will be out in 2021 during the summer. Also, Team USA has looked into Zion Williamson being a part of the team in China. Last time this happened was Anthony Davis when he came into the league out of Kentucky, played on the Dream Team that went over, won a gold medal. Anthony Davis has one of the best experiences of his life because he learned a lot from a lot of the veterans. Zion Williamson is I think the best and the most what's the word we're going to use this one? He is the most consensus number one we've had since Anthony Davis. And it's very rare that a kid his age or a college kid does get selected to go play for Team USA. Williamson has tremendous talent, so we want to congratulate Zion if that really is going to be the case. We won't know his status until he declares for the NBA. I want to say when he does declare, because there's no reason why he should go back to school. I think once he declares he gets representation, we should figure out if this next game is going to be in Vegas at Summer League or in Vegas for Team USA. So we do not know the status of Zion Williamson. Speaking of guys who declared, Nazir Little of North Carolina has declared for the NBA draft. Little has seen, talking to many people, is anywhere from that 6 down to 17, 18 range in the first round. It would take a team that's really willing to work with a kid that did not show much in North Carolina, not because he wasn't talented, because he wasn't McDonald's All-American. He was a top 5 or 6 player in his class, and also he was the McDonald's game MVP as well too. So he's no slouch. It's really depending on where things are going before those decisions are made. But yeah, Zion has been contacted by Team USA to potentially join the team that is going over for the World Cup. RJ Barrett is Canadian, so that's the reason why they didn't choose RJ Barrett. That Canada team should be real nasty. But that's another podcast for another day. We'll talk more about the World Cup teams as we get closer and rosters get more finalized. I think Team USA is going to finalize the roster within the first week of January because, like I said, free agency is coming up for a lot of their free agents. So they want to be able to enjoy the time of being courted by other teams. So follow me on Twitter at Danny, DANNY, number 3, THOMPSON. That's my screen name on Twitter. Also follow RoundTheAssociation.com for the latest news across the NBA. Follow the Facebook page, which is Around the Association, the podcast, on Facebook, and also at the same time, follow the show, and also at the same time, keep up with us. Go on Facebook, like the page, share, and everybody else, and also subscribe to the podcast. So we'll be back tomorrow talking about the games that we saw on Tuesday night, and also talk more NBA hoops. This is Dan Thompson, Rally Association. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Yeah. Full court pressure. CJ. Yeah, what we talking about? 94 feet, crossover bodies dropping J's up. Players this elite, your shots on body blocking halftime. We break it down, we gon' call your bluff, it's past time. You recognize, boy, press. We got the heat down in Florida with the keys. Guess we the best. Magic, we flash with them fans, listen, won't see the best. Show rise from the airwaves like all stars in them stairways. Local rockin', we not stopping, got hot topics like every day. Them trades hit that deadline, my team chasing the big rings. We ball, check that headline. Don't mess it up when you pick teams. The only station giving y'all that info with that real talk. Don't be trying to contest it. Go toe to toe and get wheeled off. We shooting from deeper than that report from the bleachers. If you ain't on your game, then we got something to teach you. Tie your mic, get shook up out.